Dear students, we have studied up till now the effect of heat, what is heat, and thermometer. Today we will continue with heat only, and this is third session that we will be doing. And in this section, we will be studying transfer of heat. Transfer of heat, when we have studied in the beginning also that when there is imbalance, there is inequality in temperature, then it flows from one direction to another direction, and the direction of heat is from higher to lower. For example, if we dip a steel spoon in a cup of hot tea, we find that the temperature of the spoon rises and it becomes hot. Not only that, when you do something in the kitchen and you are using a metal utensil for cooking, the metal object, why metal object is used? Because it gets heated very soon and it is good conductor of heat. Now there are three ways of transfer of heat, that is conduction, convection and radiation. We will be studying it in detail. Now see this diagram very carefully. What is happening? There are different arrows. Some arrows are some curved arrow, and the other arrows are in the direction of pointing outside the home. So how, and one direction and other arrow that is coming from the sun is in the direction of house. Now how it is happening? In this picture we see the transfer of heat. Here let's see just once how it is happening. Like see the temperature difference. Okay, it's not working. Okay, see the difference, temperature difference. Here it is 30 degree Fahrenheit, and here it is 70. So the temperature inside the house is much more than the outside the house. So here transfer of heat is in the direction of where the heat is less. This is conduction. This is because the transfer of heat through a medium, that is solid medium, it is conduction. Whereas in convection, the convection current is inside. Just see how the heat is here it is heater, and heat, because of the heater, the air near the heater is getting hot and expanded, and it is turning to getting lighter and moving up to the orange color indicates the hot air, whereas blue color indicates the cold air. Just similarly here, the hot air and the cold air, and how when the sun energy, the sun heat reaches to the earth, it is radiation. That is, no medium is required. Now this text, you may find it, this is a long text, but it is nothing to worry about. It is just about that what is conduction. Conduction is the process in which heat is transferred from the hot area of a solid object to the cold area of the solid object by the collision of particles. Just you imagine, when I in the examination hall, just remember how do the question paper. Sometimes if I ask you to give the question paper to the last person, you can pass it on without moving from your place. If you are not moving from your place and you are moving, you are giving, suppose that answer sheet is the form of heat, and you are passing it to the other student, then it is conduction without moving from your place. This text you may find it it's a very long text, but it is very simple. That is just about conduction. See, this is the simple classic example of conduction. When metal, see this is red color, it means it is getting hot, and the conduction, the heat is traveling in this direction, and this metal rod is getting hot by the heat of candle, burning candle. Generally the heat is transferred in solids by the process of conduction. It is the most important mode of heat transfer in a solid than in liquid and gases. Okay, so but it is not necessary that all solids will conduct heat, because there are many solids that are poor conductors of it. We have studied that yes, heat is transferred when the heat is transferred in solid medium, it is called conduction. But there are many solids like plastic and clothes and bakelite. There are so many things that doesn't get heated. So what does it doesn't conduct electric heat. So it's not necessary that all the solid conduct electricity, heat and electricity both. So if the heat is not conducted by a solid object, these are poor conductor of heat, and they are also known as insulator. For instance, a material that allow heat to pass through them easily are known as conductors. For example, all the metals like aluminum, copper, iron, all these are gold, uh, silver. All these are silver is the best conductor of it. Gets heated up very easily, and it is the best conductor of electricity. But because of the economic reason, it is not used in the electricity wire. So these are the conductor which allow the heat to pass through, whereas material that doesn't allow the heat to pass through are plastic, wood, water, air. They are termed as insulator. Okay, so concept of conduction is applicable to solids, and that to only those solids which are good conductors of heat. And these are few examples. If we were in the classroom, we would have discussed a lot about this thermal conduction and how it is we see in our daily life. This text is how the car engine is turned on and becomes hot, how the radiator is a good example of conduction. You can warm your back muscles with the heating pad, you know, when in winters, when your grandma or you're having pain at your back or on your knees, you give a heating pad. What is that? That is conduction. Trying to cross the street barefoot in summer may result in being conducted from the when you walk on the road, it and you cannot think of walking on the road barefooted uh, in the summer. It becomes so hot. Even the marbles too becomes very hot. So these are the conduction. These are the simple examples of conduction. And this you may think that this is long text, but it is all the examples, okay, that you can think of. That is transfer, thermal conduction. And this page, this slide is about the electrical conduction, how the electricity is conducted through wire and the metals. Now observe this picture carefully. What do you see here? What do you see? This arrow, and see the direction of the arrows. Here it is heater, and here it is air conditions. What is the difference? What is happening here? In summer, air conditioning is used to cool the environment, cool the temperature of the room, whereas heater is used in the winters to warm the room, to increase the temperature of the room for the comfort. Now see how air conditioner, how the air direction of the heat is this. See the direction of heat. Heater, the lower portion, when the heater is used, the air near the heater get warmer, and it expands and move to the upper part, and it is circulated in the room. It gets circulated in the room. Fine. And this is the insulator. This is a brick that doesn't allow the heat to escape from the house. Similarly, in summer, what happens? The heat which is radiated from the sun is reflected back, reflected back to the surrounding, reflected back to the atmosphere, though, so that less amount of electricity is consumed in the air conditioning, and the room is made much cooler. See the direction of the heat transfer. Heat is being transferred from the hotter to the colder region. Now, convection is the process in which heat is carried from one place to another by the bulk movement of a fluid, usually occur in fluids, air, and that is in gases and liquid. This is how every body radiates energy, heat energy. So it depends on how the heat is being supplied to the environment, is given out from the environment, like or electronic gadgets gives out heat. Human being, they give out heat. Hot air expands and move out, whereas cool air is heavier and it settles down, and this is how the air functions. That is the movement of hot air and cold air. Now let's study in detail about convection. Convection is the process by which heat is transferred from one part of a liquid or gas to another by the bulk movement of the fluid itself. When I ask you to give the answer sheet to the last bench student who is sitting at the last bench, you can do it in two ways. You can pass it to the other student without moving from your place, that is conduction. And if you take the answer sheet and you get up from your place and you move to that particular person to whom you want to give the answer sheet, then you are carrying the heat and you are moving from your place. So it is convection. When the heat is transferred in such a way that it moves from its place, then it is convection. This is one example that how heating convection, by which heat is lost by warm air leaking to the outside when the doors are open. You must have observed during winter time, even the slight opening in the door gives you a very shivering feeling. So what is that? That is convection, because you are in the warmer environment, and it tries to give out its heat to the surrounding, and the small leakage, small crack or opening in the wall or door, when the cold air comes in contact with the heater in a room, it absorbs the heat and rises. Cold air being heavy sinks to the floor and gets heated, and thus slowly heats the whole room. So there are a few examples of convection. You must have seen the hot air balloons, how they are sustained in the air, because hot air emanating from the engine, but if they cool down, the balloons begin to collapse. There is a continuous flow of hot air in the balloon. When a person is bathing in a very hot water, the glass in the shower in the winter time, you must have seen the mirror gets fogged up. The air dryer has a motor that serves as a fan to force air through a hot resistor. Therefore, it transmits heat by forced convection. These are few examples that how different things we use on our in our daily life function on transfer of heat. And this is the last way in which we will study about how the heat is transferred when there is no medium. Conduction, there is a solid medium, and in convection there is a liquid or gaseous medium, but in radiation there is no medium at all. When the sun is reaching earth through by this radiation. So this is a simple example why we use white clothing in summer season, and why do we use dark clothing, or woolen clothes are of generally in darker shades. because of the color of the clothes makes the difference in radiating, absorbing. White absorb less heat, whereas black absorb more of the heat. And this is in short that convection heat is being given to the, when the air is the medium, the gas is the medium, then it is convection. Conduction when it is in direct contact, and radiation when there is no medium. Thank you.